topics to really deal with. I've got to be honest with you, because I know what it's like to live a life and that sometimes you begin to question your calling and your purpose based on the kind of person you are and the uniqueness of your calling. And one of the worst things you could ever do is question your calling based on the uniqueness of your calling. And so this is a topic that's near and dear to my heart. And so this is why this really has me just PO'd tonight. I don't know what's going on. Okay, now it looks like it's online. I don't know what's happening. And I'm sorry, those of you that are tuning in late. I have no idea why it's doing what it's doing, but it looks like I'm back on now. So I'll take this up with Restream, and maybe I can get some money back. But this is a topic that is near and dear to my heart. I'll be honest with you, because I know what it's like to have a unique calling. I know what it's like to have a unique purpose behind my calling. Thank you, Elder. A unique purpose behind my calling. And I know what it's like to sometimes second guess my calling because of the uniqueness of who I am. And one of the things you all are going to learn about me is I do have coaching clients. I coach people. This is a paid service that I offer. I've got coaching clients. And one of the things I specialize in doing that I actually have professional training in doing is helping people figure out what their life's purpose is. It is something that I have a gift of doing, and I've got training, and not just a gift. Many people, want to operate in that area, but I've got real training in that area. And so when we understand what our purpose is, then we don't look at ourselves as weird or abnormal or whatever, because we see things differently or we approach things differently. In fact, we really embrace who we are. Who we are, if that makes sense. And so sorry again for the technical difficulties. Have no idea what's going on with the Restream, and I can't even see, honestly, on the stream how many people are tuned in on Restream. All I see is that the blue light is on and it's saying online. So I don't know how many people are on, but I want to continue on because I've already wasted 8 minutes talking about technical difficulties. And so I'm very sorry about this. And if there's a feedback button on Restream, they're going to hear it from Pastor tonight. So let's get into this. Do me a favor, regardless of the network that you're on, would you tag, like, share this video quickly? Would you do that for me? Like this video, share this video quickly. If you're on Facebook, good evening to you. Say something in the chat area so I can see you. Because again, I can't see how many people are logged in. So if you're on Facebook, say something, say good evening in the chat box so that I can see you. If you're on Instagram, say good evening, let us know you're there. Hit the love button. Let me see hearts flying up. Hit that @ symbol, tag 5 people and invite them quickly if you're on Instagram. If you're on YouTube, I want you to share this link. I'm going back and forth to just see what I have. I want you to share this link and invite somebody to tune in if you would, if you're on YouTube. And tell them to be a part of this broadcast. Again, can't say I'm sorry enough for the technical difficulties. Have no idea what's going on with this software, but it's really getting on my last nerve, and I apologize, okay? So share this video, fill it up with hearts, say good evening in the comments. I'm going to get going. I cannot see any comments from YouTube or Facebook like I normally can, so I don't know what's going on. So if you're saying good evening back, Pastor apologizes tonight for the technical difficulties. I want to get into this. I want to get into the topic tonight. And again, this is a series, and this is going to be part 1, but it's called You're Not Weird, You're Called. All right? You're not weird, you're called. And this is going to be part 1 of what will probably be a 3 or 4 part series. And again, as I was saying earlier, as we were opening up, one of the things that I think I have is a gift, a true gift. It is a trained gift. But it is also a gift from God, I believe, is really helping people figure out their purpose. Many of you know I operate as a career counselor. I started in higher education as a career counselor and really helping people develop their careers and their lives based off their occupations. It's something that I've done as an occupation. But there's an element of even career development and helping people figure out their purpose from a career perspective. That involves passion and that involves purpose. And it takes a unique gift and a unique skill set to be able to operate with people and help them determine what their purpose is. And so I want to deal with that for the next 2-3 weeks easily. You're not weird. you're called. And I want to talk about that because at the end of the day, I want all of you to be comfortable recognizing the power in your difference. All right, let's get into it because I've got a hard stop at about 7:55 tonight. So let's get into it. I want you to recognize and embrace the power of your difference. Okay, there is still power. If you're recording notes, and I want you to drop it in the comments as you're inviting people in. There is still power. There is still power in being different. I want all of you to understand this from the jump. There is still power. There is still a unique power that is associated with being different, right? And I don't mean different that is forced. I mean an authentic difference. When there is an authentic difference about you, there is power connected to that. And so I want you to embrace your difference. Now, typically in the church world, we have heard this. We've heard this phrase, or we've heard this commentary about difference in the context of 2 Corinthians 6 and 17, right? We heard that a lot. Come out from among them, be ye separate, right? We've heard that. We were beat over the head with that. And that was the only text that we heard about being different and how being different was required of us. But let me say this, that text is greater than dealing with the spiritual you. Because the reality is, from a spiritual standpoint, people hear that text, come out from among them, be separate, and then they become bougie saints, right? Where the only people they talk to are church people. The only people they hang with are church people. The only people they surround themselves with are church people. The only friends they have are church friends. The only circles they run in are church circles, and they have no balance. They have lives that are filled with convocation visits and Sunday after church dinner at Applebee's, but they don't have any balance in their lives. Come out from among them doesn't just mean from a spiritual standpoint. Come out from among them also addresses your need to be different in every area of your life. I want to say that again. Coming out from among them addresses the unique need to be different in every area of your life, not just spiritually, but even in your personality, in your perspective, in the way you see things. Here's the reality. There is not a lot of power that we experience in our society, a lot of change and unique things happening because we have so many clones and not enough unique people. I want to say this again. Our society, our churches, our businesses, our corporations, regardless of industry, regardless of what you do, we don't see a lot of innovation. We don't see a lot of power. We don't see a lot of creativity because everybody thinks the same. Everybody talks the same. Everybody functions the same. Everybody has the same perspective. And in fact, it's so bad that when you have a perspective that is different from the norm, instead of your perspective being embraced as possible genius, 9 times out of 10, you are more often criticized for being different than you are being embraced for being different. Many of you know that the 3rd book that I wrote, called 7 Habits of a Trailblazer, really deals with this. Because the reality of the matter is, if you're going to blaze trails, if you're going to be different and unique in any area of your life, you got to be comfortable on an island called alone. I'll say this again. If you're going to be different and unique and blaze trails and do extraordinary things in any area of your life, this talk is larger than church, okay? So if you came for a church talk, this ain't it tonight. This is not that. This is larger than that. But if you're going to be effective and unique and powerful in any area of your life, spiritually, in business, as a member of your family, whatever you do, you got to be comfortable on an island called alone. You have to be comfortable on an island called misunderstood. And see, here's the problem. And I don't want to get ahead of myself. But let me just say this. One of the biggest challenges in our society right now as it relates to being different is people can't take the scrutiny of standing out. They would rather be comfortable and fit in than deal with the scrutiny that comes with sticking out. And the problem is when you fit in, there is no innovation there. When you fit in, there is no creativity and ingenuity there. There's none of that there. When you fit in, you are not stretching the rubber band. You are just wearing the rubber band in a way that's comfortable, that makes you okay with you, and that makes people easy to digest you. If you're going to do anything significant or substantial in your life, and hear me good, you've got to be willing to live on an island called alone and live on an island called being misunderstood. Period. Again, this series ain't going to be for everybody, but let me just make this crystal clear to all of you. If you are going to embrace whatever you've been called to, this is another thing with this. I'm going to deal with this in a second, but we hear the term calling and we automatically think things like called to preach or ministry. No, calling is really just a substitution for the word purpose, right? So you're not weird. You have a purpose. That's another way we could phrase this topic, right? So don't misunderstand the word called for necessarily being a leader or being good and being called to do many. It doesn't mean that. Being called means you understand your purpose, and finding out your purpose. Part of finding out your purpose is embracing what makes you different from everybody else and being okay with that. I hate to break the bad news to y'all, but let me just give you something hot off the press. The reality of the matter is God never called me, number one. And I don't want to get too far. I'm looking at my notes just to make sure I don't get too far in this. When God called me into the ministry, I didn't want to be here. Okay, I didn't want to preach. I don't know if my mom and dad are tuned in. My daddy can testify to this for sure. I'm not making this up. I ain't want no purpose of this stuff. And I'll be honest with you, the main reason I didn't want any parts of this is because everything I saw, I didn't want to be like none of that. And so it probably explains why my ministry is different the way it is. And I function the way I function. And that's probably all the reason why I function that way. I never wanted to be a part of ministry in a status quo kind of way, oversized robe, big briefcase, eating chicken after service with big suits on. That ain't never been my style. It ain't never been, and it never will be, right? And so I think part of me running away from the calling that I have to do this kind of work, frankly, was not wanting to fit into the status quo. I don't care about the status quo. I don't care about what everybody else is doing and how everybody else does it. My thing was simple. When I told God I would do it, I mean, this is going to sound crazy to y'all. I had one request, and that is, let me be me while I'm doing it. Now, I know that flies against the grain, because then you hear people in church say things like, not my will, but your will. I didn't say it wasn't his will. Not my way, but your way. I didn't say it wasn't his way, but I asked him to let me be authentically who I am so that I can be impactful. And see, where people miss the boat is they figure out what their purpose is, but they are so focused on trying to be what mainstream is that they miss their purpose. Pastor Zeb Talley III will never be a mainstream pastor, ever. I ain't been called to do it. I have not been called to lead people the same way you see a lot of other pastors. And this ain't a knock on them. Everybody got their calling. Everybody got their thing. That's good. I ain't got no problem with none of that. But please understand, I understand that growth and impact when it comes to being different is being okay with how you are different. You've heard me share the story many times about how the name even Rehab came to play. You had some other gaudy, crazy church name that didn't make sense at all. And it just sounded churchy, and it would not have fit what God has given me for this ministry. And so I'm just telling you, I'll never be a traditional pastor. The flow of rehab will never be traditional. It's never been. And I think it's about to take an even bigger turn. And some of y'all just not going to be ready for the direction it's going. And that's okay. But I've never been called to be like nobody else, ever. I've never been called to be like anybody else. And so that's what you've got to understand. When you know your purpose, when you know your calling, you understand that you find your lane, you get good in it, and you don't worry about how your difference makes you stand out to anybody else. Now, again, there is a price to pay here. And I'm going to talk about this in just a second. There's a price to pay here when you are operating in difference. But I'm here to tell you, when you figure out what your purpose is, you really don't care what people think about your calling. You don't care what people think about your purpose. You don't care what people think about your lane. You get in your lane and you stay there and you live in that lane and you become the best in that lane that you can be. And so, no, you're not weird. When you're different and your calling is different and your purpose is different, this is how it works. Nobody understands you in the beginning. People only understand you and embrace you when you succeed. I'm going to say this again, because many of you are on the fence about starting careers and starting jobs and starting your business. And you looking for people to say amen before you start it. You're not a trailblazer. You're not different. You just like everybody else. If you waiting on people to give you approval and confirmation before you step out into your purpose, it doesn't work that way. When you have a real calling and a real different calling, and it's authentic and real, this is how it works. You're going to step out and go after it. People going to criticize you because they don't understand it. But then when you get some success, people going to think you the best thing since sliced bread. I'm a living witness. I had people tell me I was stupid for starting a church called Rehab, that I was dumb for having a flyer with a guy on there with no shirt on and tattoos. And now people try to hit me up talking about, Doc, this, can you help me with this? No, get out my face. I'm being honest. You'll never hear another preacher say that. Get out my face, all the way out my face. And how it works. See, when you embrace being different and you embrace the space that God called you in, you don't need nobody to confirm your call. You don't need nobody to say, I understand what you're doing. I get it. It makes sense to me. No, my job ain't to make my purpose make sense to you. My job is to operate in the difference that is my purpose. I'm going to say this again. I'm dropping bombs and y'all not even listening. My job is not to make my purpose make sense to you. My job is to walk in my purpose, and then you figure it out whenever you get there. But I'm telling y'all, and this is breaking news, but you better hear me good. Rehab will never be like a traditional church, ever. And in fact, if you think it's been bad to this point, it's about to get 10 times worse. And that's just the fact. What God has given me for a vision of empowering people's lives goes far beyond a wall and y'all looking like the Easter bunny every first Sunday. That just ain't my thing. My thing is empowering people on a much larger scale that goes beyond the walls of where they are. And so I'm telling you, you better hold on to your seat. Now, there's a price to pay. And again, I'm going to get into this, but understand, when you live in the space of different, where common doesn't belong, that's when you begin to tap into your purpose. I'm going to say that I'm giving y'all free advice that people pay me good money for. Listen to me. When you start tapping in the space called different, where the common don't reside, that's where you in your purpose. And see, many of you are fighting your purpose, not because you don't know your purpose. You fighting it because you're looking for agreement. Stop looking for folk to agree with you. You don't need people to agree with you when you know your calling and your purpose. You don't need agreement. You need courage. You don't need agreement. You need authenticity. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Okay? Is this making sense to anybody? If it is, say something. Put it in the comments. Tag this video. Share somebody. If this is making sense to you. But again, I can't stress this enough. If you desire to make a difference in this life, you have to be different. gonna say it again. If you desire to make a difference in this life, you got to be different. And I'm gonna just keep it real. I keep talking about me because I don't want to offend y'all. My goal in ministry is to make a difference, not to have, some old shiny suit on, eating chicken at the church every Sunday, slapping people with oil and making folk pass out. And I know that offends some of you. And there's some churches that do that every week. And God bless them. It's their calling, and they should do it. Do what you're called to do. I ain't called to do that. My calling is to teach a word that is so relevant, to teach a message, a gospel message that is so relevant that in normal street clothes, I can relate the message to anybody on any level, at any time, in any setting. And they hear a word that sounds so empowering that they don't even realize they've been empowered by the word. Are y'all listening to me? That's what I've been called to do. I've been called to take church far beyond 4 walls of a building and to empower people in spaces who will never even walk in a building. That's what I've been called to do. It's different. It's a risk, but that's what it is. And so understand this. I don't need y'all to validate nothing. I know my purpose. And I understand that with that, with going after a purpose that is not common, you're going to get results that aren't common, because common behavior breeds common results. I'll say it again. Common behavior breeds common results. I got a new mentee, a young man who's going to do some incredible things. Reached out to me a few weeks ago, and it's funny, you never know how people, who's watching you, in what circles or sets they're watching. You just never know. And I've always thought well of him, but he reached out to me and hit me up and said, hey, Pastor, I want to talk to you about being a mentor. He said, but I don't want to talk from the perspective of, just the church thing. He said, I want to talk from the perspective of how broad your reach is and how you're a pastor, but you really reach in people in different spaces. And we had a nice hour-long conversation where he shared with me that, and I was really moved because he knew I was called to do this kind of work of empowering people spiritually. But he came out of his mouth and said, you more than a pastor. I'm gonna say that again. He came out of his mouth and said, you more than a pastor. And I said, I know. There's some people that do this work and all they are is a pastor. All they are is a preacher. Take a mic out of their hand, take an organ away from their background. What are they? Who are they empowering? Who are they? We got folks that tune into this broadcast that are members of the church, PhDs. We got people that's got GEDs. I take pleasure in all of it. Why? Because it is a reflection of what I've been called to do. I ain't been called to just pastor and preach to folk who know how to shout on beat. I've been called to preach to people who might feel God's presence for the first time and it be so overwhelming that they don't know what to do. That's the kind of stuff that excites me. And so you got to be okay being who you are, nothing more and nothing less. Will y'all record that? I need you to grow to be okay being who you are, nothing more, nothing less. I'm talking to you creatives. I'm talking to you people who feel like because you see things the way you do, because you perceive things the way you do, you've always been made to feel weird. No. You got to be comfortable being okay who you are, nothing more, nothing less. Be okay with that. You don't have to compromise who you are just to fit in. You don't have to compromise who you are just to get on some circuit or get some opportunities. No, be who you are. Nothing more, nothing less. Let me tell you, it's annoying. It is annoying to see people in certain occupations, preaching, business, it don't matter. To see people in certain occupations trying to be something they're not just to get opportunities. And deep down inside, they miserable. Y'all stop. Be okay with who you are. Be okay with who you've been called to be. And operate in that and understand this. This is minute you accept that there is something different about your life is the second you're going to start in your best life. I'm going to say it, I'm dropping nuggets like bombs. Are you listening to me? The minute you begin to accept that there's something different about your life is the minute, or is the very second, you're going to begin to live your best life. Can I tell y'all this? The weight of the world started lifting off of my shoulder when I decided to be the pastor and the spiritual leader that I've been called to be, and not what I saw on TV. Many of you have seen my bios on social media, and I got up there, non-traditional spiritual leader. And I know the church saints, they can, oh, who is this guy thinking non-traditional spiritual leader? I'm not like you. That's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean by that. The minute I got comfortable in my skin and being who I've been called to be, which is a preacher that can holler if I'm in a church, or that can teach in a building, a hotel ballroom, to folks that ain't in a building, and inspire them to have a changed life. The minute I embraced that, everything changed. Everything changed. And part of that is understanding that there is something different. There is something unique about your life. There is something unique about your calling. You were never, when you figure out your purpose, you understand that you were never designed to be like everybody else. I ain't talking to everybody. I'm talking especially to you people who have felt like the way you see life, the way you see your career, the way you see your life evolving, the way you see life around you, that you were weird because your perspective was different. You ain't weird. You got a purpose. And it takes courage to walk in that purpose, knowing that sometimes your purpose and your calling is going to be misunderstood. Genius is always misunderstood in the beginning, but is always praised at the end. Saying, so you gotta, y'all, I know it feels like I'm beating y'all upside the head, but I'm telling you, I coach people on this. Paid services. I'm a paid coach. I've got paid clients. I coach people on helping them figure out their passion. And I really beat this over the head. Get over what people think about your purpose. Get over it. And understand that there are some tables you will never get invited to because your purpose is so different. I had to embrace the fact. I'm going to give a shout out. I was telling somebody I ain't got but a handful of real pastor friends, for real, that I got, like a handful, literally. I know a lot of people that know me. I know a few people, but I ain't got but a handful of real friends. But I want to give a shout out. My father, my mother have always encouraged me to embrace the uniqueness of my calling. And I will give them credit for that. I know I'm a very different guy and a different kid, but they've given me the courage to embrace that. Bishop Ron Godby, I'll never forget, we had a conversation a few months ago. One of the things he said to me, he's one of a handful of people that are really near and dear to my heart. And he said something to me that was powerful. He said, are you doing this because you want to be accepted? Or are you doing this because you really been called to do it? Meaning, not talking about pastoring. He's talking about walking in the uniqueness of who I've been called to be. Because if you're looking for people to accept it, then you miss the boat. Do it because you know you've been called to it. And that stuff takes care of itself. And that's how you got to operate when it comes to your purpose. That's how you got to operate when it comes to the path that God gave you. No, I ain't going through no midlife crisis. I'm fine. I've always felt this way. Rehab has been up for about 8 years. Everything's good. But understand, I ain't been called to be nobody else but who I am. Let me say this. I want you to record this. Part of finding your purpose again is embracing your difference. Okay? Part of finding your purpose in life, career, business, relationship, whatever. I don't care what it is. Embrace your difference. Stop fighting it. Embrace your difference and understand that it don't matter how much you try. You will never fit in a space that don't connect with your purpose. I'm going to say this again. I don't care how much you try to force it. I don't care how much you try to act like it. You will never fit in a space that doesn't fit your purpose, period. A member asked me, I'll never forget, it was right before the pandemic closed. We were talking about something. And a member said to me, said, Pastor, you got a robe? And I was laughing. I thought about that conversation because I was cleaning out some stuff here. And in the back of my closet, I got, one of only 2 robes I've ever owned. It's a gray robe. And the last time I wore that robe, we were in the 1020 Wendover building, not 1020 Wendover building, the Wendover building, the Donicon. I can't even remember the address. We were in the Donicon building, and I christened my son, I want to say it was. And I had this robe on. I'll never forget. Rehab, right? Elder Mrs. already left. Rehab was only about, what were we, like 2 years old then? Maybe a year and a half. Maybe like a year and a half. I don't think we were 2 years old yet. And I'll never forget, I walked that Sunday with a robe on, and the Rehab was barely a year old. And people was laughing like, Pastor, what are you doing? And I was trying to christen my son in a robe because I thought that's what you were supposed to do. Right. So I wanted to look real pastor-like. Or was it was it communion? I can't remember if it was communion or my son's christening. It was something. And I came out trying to look real pastor-like. And the people that I had started the ministry with in this year were laughing at me because already they could see I was trying to be something I was not called to be. So here I am in this big oversized robe looking crazy. Not that there's anything wrong with robes. If you wear robes and that's your thing, do it. I'm not criticizing robes. People are good at taking my words out of context. But I walked out in the robe trying to be something that really I wasn't called to be. And that was the last time I wore that robe. It might have been 7 years ago. Now we do communion and I got on jeans and a t-shirt. I would get kicked out of most churches doing communion in tight fitted jeans with holes in it. And I don't care. I will never do communion in a robe with a thing on my head. That ain't my thing. And so you have to grow comfortable knowing what you've been called. And that's just the tip of the ice. That ain't nothing, y'all. I just can't stress this enough. The vision that God has given for my ministry to really empower the world is so much bigger than a building. And it's just going to shock some of y'all. I really wish I could share it with y'all, but y'all not really ready for it. I just got to prime y'all for what's coming. But just hear what I'm saying. Embrace who you are and understand that you will never fit in a space. I don't care how much you try. You'll never fit in a space that don't connect with your purpose. How I look like showing up. I got a buddy of mine created as a bishop, and he invited me. And when I went, and they send out the invitation, and said, wear your vestments and garments. I ain't got none. I have a black suit with a white shirt and a tie. I don't have, and I could get that stuff. I've got a covering. My father's my covering, but people, I could get consecrated to do all of that stuff. That ain't my thing. Yeah, that's just not my thing. And I'm not criticizing people. I'm just saying, let's play fair in the sandbox. When I don't criticize you for your calling, don't criticize me because I'm walking in mine. And we tend to not play fair when things go against the norm, right? When things go against the norm or the mainstream. And so again, part of finding your purpose is embracing your difference. This is critical to knowing your purpose. If you want to know your purpose, tap into what makes you different. I'll say it again. I'm giving y'all free game tonight that I should be charging you for. If you want to tap into your purpose, tap into what makes you different. Because I can guarantee you, I can make a correlation between what makes you different and what your purpose or your calling is. And again, callings are bigger than being in ministry. I'm talking about preaching. Some of you have callings to do that, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what your purpose is. Tap into what makes you different, and I can help draw a line between what makes you different and what your purpose is. But you got to embrace the different part first. And most people never get to their purpose because they're uncomfortable being different. They're very uncomfortable not fitting in. They're very uncomfortable making people uncomfortable. I was laughing because I told somebody a few days ago, I think I'm getting comfortable just making people uncomfortable. As crazy as that sounds, like I really get a kick out of making people uncomfortable with me. And it's so crazy to understand, but it's called growing to be comfortable in your own skin and being comfortable with who you are, what you've been called to do, what you desire, what you want. It's called being comfortable in that space. And when you are, you're unstoppable. Your feelings become unhurtable when you are comfortable in your purpose. I'll say it again. Your feelings become unhurtable. Some of y'all got to grow your feelings to become unhurtable. That's a new word for y'all. You can have it. Some of you have to grow your feelings to become unhurtable. And the way you do it is by getting comfortable in your own skin, being comfortable with what you've been called to do, being comfortable with who you've been, being okay in that. You have, otherwise, you might as well go be like everybody else and do it like everybody else does it and get the same results everybody else get. Some of you ain't gonna start a business because you're waiting on people to understand it. So just go start a business like everybody else got, and you can be like everybody else. Some of you aren't going to job for a greater career because everybody else in your family has worked the same job for 40 years, and they graduated with a gold coat and a medal. And you felt like that's all you can do, and that's the only way you can do it. So stay on that job, be miserable, make decent money, and go on and retire in 30, 40 years. That's fine. Do you? Some of you aren't going to marry for happiness and love. You're going to marry out of convenience and comfort. And so you're going to settle for relationships that make everybody else feel good instead of making you feel good. Knock yourself out. And others of you are going to decide to do things that make you happy and fulfilled. And you're going to step out of the box and you're going to be comfortable being who you are. Y'all not listening to me. Y'all not listening to me. I know this is making sense to somebody, and you got to find the courage to do whatever it takes to be comfortable making steps that align with your purpose. I know what it's like. I know exactly what it's like to leave situations, jobs, whatever, in the name of purpose. Many of you know this. I can say this publicly because I posted about it. I'll be leaving A&T in a few weeks, and I'll be joining the team at Winston-Salem State, and I'll be leading their career center. And it was on one hand, it was somewhat of a tough decision because the crew that I work with, at the Dease College of Business at A&T is a really good crew of people, and I've been able to initiate some things in that role to establish some things that will bless generations to come. Literally, establish some processes and some strategies that the college had worked years on to be able to create. And I did it in 1 year and a couple of months in the job, and I did it in a pandemic from my house. I've been able to accomplish some great things, and very proud of that. But, in talking even with my boss, who's the dean, Dean Kevin James, and sometimes he tunes in. Good evening, Dean, if you are listening. In having the conversation about leaving, one of the things that I said to him was, this ain't about the money. In fact, this move is less money for me. I'm going after my passion. My passion is student development and developing students and helping people figure out what their passion is and doing it every single day. It's my passion, and it's something I do well. It's my purpose. It's something I can do with my eyes closed. I've literally helped tens of thousands of people figure out their life. I'm not making this up. And so when you know what your purpose is for real, when you know what your passion is for real, you operate in that space and you stop looking for validation. I saw that word earlier, Elder, and I agree with that. Some of y'all so busy trying to be validated that you missing your purpose. Some of y'all so busy trying to be understood that you missing your purpose. Some of y'all so busy trying to get people to say, hey, I understand you, that you missing your purpose. And life is passing you by. And all you gonna have to show for it when it's over with is a retirement pension, relationships that you can't stand, settings that you wish you would have aborted a long time ago because you settled for what was normal. Trailblazers don't live in the place called normal. They live in a place called purpose. Y'all support that. Trailblazers, innovators, weird people like me, they don't live in a place called normal. They live in a place called setting trails. and blazing trails and doing things in a way that's authentically different. Let me leave you with this because I'm up against it. I've run over. I told you I can talk about this for hours. This is going to be a powerful setting. But let me give you this. I want to give you quickly 3 transformational qualities that come with being different, automatic from the jump. When you decide to walk in your difference, there are 3 automatic transformational qualities that come with being different. I want you to record this. There are 3 automatic transformational qualities that come from being different. When you are different, there are 3 transformational qualities that automatically come with it. All right. Quality number 1, it's called effectiveness. Effectiveness. When you decide to be different, it ain't gonna always be easy. It ain't gonna always be popular, but you will produce results. Can I tell y'all this? Whether it was ministry or my career, my goal has never been to be popular. My goal has been to be effective. If you want to operate in your purpose, your goal shouldn't be to be known. Your goal should be to be effective, to have an impact. When people engage with you, that it changes their lives. Some of y'all ain't going to admit this out loud, but come on, keep it real with Pastor. You really just want to be popular. Some of the things y'all do, you ain't doing it because you really about it. You're doing it because you want some likes, and you want some shares, and you want people to get to know who you are. And that ain't the path to effectiveness. The path to effectiveness is being okay with being different, being misunderstood, as long as you're walking in your purpose. That's the path to effectiveness. The path to effectiveness is not being liked or understood or being popular. The path to effectiveness is embracing your difference. Do you want to be popular or do you want to be effective? Do you want to be comfortable or do you want to be effective? Do you want to change lives in whatever you do or do you want to be effective? It's the $1 million question. And this is something I even speak with when I do engage preachers, ministers, preachers to be, especially because this really makes sense in that vein. I'm just be honest with y'all, keep it 100. A lot of these preachers, especially these new age preachers and pastors, they ain't doing it because they've been called to do it. They're doing it because preaching has become a form of a way for people to get fame and status and clout. That's just a fact. And you ain't got like I said it. I said what I said. And ain't nobody gonna whoop me because I said it. I meant what I said. Preaching for many people has shifted from, and pastoring has shifted from being effective and wanting to transform people's lives to a way of people making an income and a living and not having to go get a job every day. I said what I said. I don't care if you don't like it. And so people ain't in it no more because they got a heart to change lives, or in it anymore because they have a heart to hear testimonies from people of hearing a word that transformed their lives and changed their lives for generations. People not in it for that no more. People become ministers today. They set up an Instagram account tomorrow. They got booking agents the next week. This is a fact. Okay, so it's just not the same game. This generation has diluted what is a very powerful calling to have. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about being so interested in being effective that you don't need the games and you don't need the popularity. You don't need none of that stuff. You doing it because you know you've got a purpose, you've been called to it. That's quality number 1. Quality number 2 is this: authenticity. Quality number 2 is authenticity. Nothing is more powerful when you decide to be different. Nothing is more powerful than being yourself, being comfortable in your own skin, creating the business you want to create, not because everybody else is doing it, but because you got a purpose and a calling for your business. Operating in the space in the industry you're operating in, not because it's sexy and popular to do it, but because your calling, your purpose is aligned with that business, is aligned with that industry. When you do that, you are operating in a space called authenticity. And nothing is more powerful, nothing leads to effectiveness more than being yourself. Be yourself. Be comfortable in your own skin. Be comfortable with your own perspectives. Be comfortable with the way you see things, the way you see life, the way you see your purpose, the way you see the path that you have. Be comfortable in that, and don't need an amen corner. Don't need people to validate the choices and the paths and the things that you take on. You don't need validation when you got your purpose. When you know your purpose, validation is not necessary. Right? And when you operate that way, you become authentic. People know you're doing what you're doing because you truly mean to do it. I have this conversation with students a lot. This is an easy example to make this make sense. I have this conversation with students a lot, and students will say things to me like, Dr. Talley, I'm struggling and I need help with this, and we'll give them some help. And then after we give them some help, they'll say things like, you know what, Dr. Talley, I can tell you really are in the student business, that you really like it because I can feel the passion. And, I have professors that you can tell that they're just collecting a check. And that's because a lot of people are not doing things, whether it's jobs, occupations, whatever. They're not doing it because they've been called to it. They're doing it out of convenience. They're doing it for money. They're doing it for all of these things. No. You don't chase your purpose for money. What you do is you chase your purpose because that's where your passion is. If you go after the passion, the money gonna find you. I'm trying to help y'all. I coach people in this space for a living. People pay me good money to help figure out their purpose. I'm giving you a free nugget right here. When you go after your passion for real and your purpose for real, the money traces you down. Like, I turn down more consulting and speaking opportunities than I take. That's a fact. I ain't even got time to take them and entertain them. And a lot of them I don't even want to entertain. That's a different conversation, but it's true. But I'm just saying to you, when you after your passion and you operating in your space called passion, opportunities find you. And that's the problem. Many of you are running after opportunities instead of your passion. Don't run after an opportunity. Run after your passion. Run after your purpose. Run after your calling. Embrace the weirdness and the uniqueness of what you've been called to do. And then watch opportunities start tracing you down. Watch opportunities start tracking you down. Watch resources start tracking you down. We got it backwards. Some of y'all, I can't stand going to networking events. I ain't gonna lie. And I probably should like it because I'm kind of connected in a lot of different places, but I can't stand going to networking events. I hate taking business cards. It just annoys me. And I don't know why. It's just something so phony about that setting, because people be trying to get to know people to get opportunity. No. You want to get opportunities, go after your passion and get good at it. If you go after your passion and get good at your passion and your purpose, opportunities start finding you. Well, Pastor, it ain't what you know, it's who you know. That's true. That's very true. And you might be able to get some opportunities faster because of who you know. But let me make this real clear to you. You can know everybody in the world, but if you suck at your purpose, it ain't gonna work. Now I'm talking to y'all like the assistant dean. I'm gonna say this again. If you know all the people in the world, but you suck at your purpose, eventually it's not gonna work. Can I help y'all? Let me just go ahead and have a transparent moment with y'all real quick. Let me have a transparent moment with y'all. Sometimes I admit this, that I'm guilty, and it looks like they are faster. It looks like opportunities are happening for them faster. And watch how they've scaled up into spaces and on platforms and doing faster. But then I have to step out of my feelings and I evaluate what they do, and I evaluate what they do. And not for all of them, but let me just conclusion for some of them. The reality is some people have the opportunities they have because they do know the right people. Some people are only operating in space because they do know the right people. But let me tell you something. Eventually, I don't care who you connected to, it ain't going to be enough for you to hold on to the space that you got. And so I don't give a crap about being connected to people. I'm going to just be honest with you. I hate when I speak places, especially in the church world, not as much in the business world, but especially in the church. I hate when I speak places and folk come, hey, doc, this, and want to pass you cards. Man, don't give me a card. My admin is right over there. And, you know, if you're interested in something, you talk to her, because 9 times out of 10, I'm going to use people to filter you out to make sure you really about your purpose. Let me just go ahead and put y'all on game. And you can call it stuck up. You can call it he think he better. I don't care what you call it. I call it being authentic. And I call it not being filled with a bunch of lip service and making sure I'm connected to people who are authentic about their purpose. I tell our preachers, especially all the time in our church, I don't speak everywhere. I don't. Because a lot of pastors just be blowing smoke. I don't care nothing about that. I don't care nothing about their purpose and how they go about doing what they're doing. And a lot of times they ain't really sincere about their call. And I don't want to be any part of that. I don't care how much they dock me. I don't care how many times they call me. I'm not coming. Period. And it's just that. Because I'm serious about how authentic I see my ministry being and my calling being and my purpose being. And I know I don't fit everywhere. And so when you understand that and you get comfortable in your skin, people aid you. People ain't got to understand your call, your purpose. So what? It don't even matter. I mean, you can operate in that space and be completely okay with who you are. Here's the third and final transformational quality that comes with being different. And then we're going to pick up with part 2 next Tuesday, because I'm going to give you guys 5 signs you called and chosen. All right. And we're going to start that next week. And I know this is going to be another 2 or 3 weeks on this series, but this is my wheelhouse. But the third and final transformational quality for tonight that comes with being different is this. It is the ability to lead and influence without trying. The ability to lead and influence without trying. When you embrace being different, you'll find yourself influencing spaces and you ain't even giving it no effort. Some of y'all got influence that you never even asked for. Some of you have effectiveness with people and in spaces that you never even asked for. You know why? Because you operating in who and what makes you you. You're not trying to be nobody else but who you are. And when you try to be nobody else but who you are, you end up operating in an influence that you don't have to create. See, some people got influence because their cousin gave it to them, right? Or their connection gave it to them. And their influence is only as deep as that connection. But some of us got influence and ain't nobody give it to us. We got it because we just who we are. And when you just who you are and you comfortable being just who you are, that kind of influence is the kind of influence that sticks. See, I've been blessed to be in spaces and be influential with people and in spaces that people did not give that opportunity to me. My difference gave that opportunity to me. Say it again. People didn't open a door for me. My influence opened the door. And what caused that influence to open it was my difference. Not trying to be like every other spiritual leader, not trying to be like every other higher ed administrator or consultant or coach, all these hats that I wear, not trying to be like nobody else, but who I've been called to be. And I'm just telling you, when you figure that out, when you figure out how to really be who you are and be okay being different, you will find yourself not having to fight for influence. You'll just have influence. You'll walk up in spaces. You'll show up in spaces and the room, the tone of the room will change because your presence is there. Ever heard the phrase real recognize real? That's a real phrase. You got a different kind of energy when you embrace your difference. You got a totally different kind of swag when you embrace your difference. When you embrace what makes you unique, it's just different. And people who appreciate authenticity can see that a mile away. Something different about that cat. Something different about that lady. Something different about what he's doing in business. Something's different about what she's doing with her career. People can see that from a mile away, and you ain't got to put on. You don't have to try to command respect. You don't have to try to beg people to respect you or put you on or open up a door. Nah, you just operate in your difference. You be okay in your skin. And there's something awfully attractive about that. That begins to magnetize you to opportunities. That begins to magnetize you to open doors. And so all pastor's trying to get at, and he's going to be getting at for the next 2-3 weeks, is this. When you figure out your purpose, I don't care how weird it is. When you figure out your purpose, I don't care how weird people think you are. When you figure out your purpose, you're going to understand that you're really not weird. You just got a purpose. And your purpose might happen to be different. And your purpose might happen to be unique. But if you lead from that space of uniqueness, then you really can't be faded. You really can't be stopped. You really cannot. There's nothing that nobody can do to block your influence or to unblock your effectiveness. I'll share this story with you finally. This is how I know I'm growing. I was telling a group of friends a few weeks ago. I was telling a group of friends a few weeks ago. I got a screenshot, and this is a funny story to me. I got a screenshot a few weeks ago. I wasn't on social media. Somebody sent me a screenshot and said, "Hey, Zeb, I think this is for you. You know, check it out." It was a post that somebody made. It looked like they might have been throwing off. Now, I don't know. I don't really get into the subliminal stuff because my thing is, if you don't put my name in it, then it really ain't for me. Because you really didn't have the courage to put my name in it. And that's just the way I get down, right? You know, you want me to know something, you're going to tell me. Because if I want you to know something, I'm going to tell you. So, you know, I don't know if it was for me. It could have been for me. It kind of felt like it maybe could have been for me. But, you know, they sent it and it was like, you know, what you going to say, what you going to do? And, you know, so the young person in me, the young Zeb in me kicked in for a second, and I wanted to put up a status to, you know, to just really just kind of go in and let that person know that I saw the status, but this is really where you can go, and this is how you can get there, and this is how I can help you get there, and that kind of stuff. And that was the young, immature me in that. But then I had to kind of take a couple of steps back and remember how effective I am, how authentic I am in who I am and what I do. And to also realize that in social media, everybody with an ad in front of their name tough. Everybody with an ad in front of their name tough. So, you know, it's just, you know, social media has created, you know, a lot of, you know, weak and insecure people. And so the larger point of this is when you are okay being you and you comfortable in your skin and being different, you ain't got time to entertain nothing that doesn't align with who you've been called to be, what you've been called to do, the space you've been called to operate in. And so y'all stop flying with birds and hanging with birds and start soaring like eagles. You know, that's in your career choices, your relationship choice, whatever choices you make. Y'all spending much time with birds. Birds, real common, they easy to shoot. Y'all spending too much time with birds. You got to step your game up and fly where eagles fly, to a place where people can see you, but they can't touch you. People can admire you, but they can't fade you. That's where you got to be. And when you really embrace your weirdness and your difference and how you are different, then that's when you'll see authentic results. I'm done for tonight. We'll pick up part 2 next week. This bless anybody? Was this message a blessing? Did it make sense to anybody at all tonight? If it did, fill it up with hearts. Let me see something. If it made sense to you. I'm very serious and passionate about this. I could literally talk about this for 2 hours tonight, easily. I'm very passionate about people figuring out their purpose because I know what it's like to think I was weird because I saw things different, or to think I was weird because I saw, for example, ministry different, or I saw, you know, being a minister different. No, I ain't weird. Y'all weird because y'all trying to be like everybody else. Ain't nothing wrong with me. And it's the mentality I had to grow over time. Right? Because I saw, you know, careers different and relationships that, and just saw things different. And I used to think I was, but there's nothing wrong with me. And I'm here to tell you, ain't nothing wrong with you either. Embrace your difference and be okay with that, and make people get in where they can fit in or move out the way. You hear what I'm saying? Make people get in where they can fit in or move out the way. Listen, I want to pray with you quickly. You got a prayer request. I know I'm over. I'm a whole 20 minutes over. I didn't mean to do it. I want to pray with you quickly. If you got a prayer request tonight, I'm going to give you 60 seconds. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever network you're on. I want you to type your prayer request in the comments right now. If you got a prayer request, every morning I get up 4:30 in the morning and I pray over your prayer request. And I want to pray for you. I want to pray for you for the rest of this week. Maybe you've got a request concerning your ability to find some courage, to be different, to walk in your difference, to walk in your uniqueness. Put it in the comments right now. If you got a prayer request nobody else can read, you can email your prayer request. You can direct it to me by emailing your request to info@REHABCC. Put it in the subject line, prayer request, and that email will get routed to me. And I'd be happy to even read your prayer request and I will respond. But I want you to type your prayer request quickly. Come on, you got 45 seconds quickly. I want you to type in your prayer request. I want to pray for you. And my greatest prayer is that you will embrace the difference that is you so that you can walk in this unique purpose and calling you've got. I'm telling you, when God made you, he didn't make you like nobody else. When God created you, he didn't create you to see it like nobody else. When God gave you the ideas he gave you, he didn't give you those ideas for you to be like nobody else. When God gave you the things you desire and the things that you have in terms of passion, he didn't do it for you to be like nobody else. He gave it to you and he made you to be exactly who you've been called to be. I want you to put in the comments. Good. I'm starting to see requests. Good, good, very good. Come on, keep them coming. I see them coming. My comments are finally working now. I don't know what's going on technology tonight, but you got 30 seconds quickly. I want you to type your request. I want to pray for you. We're going to sow a seed. We're going to go tonight, but I want to pray for you and I want to pray for your ability to really embrace the purpose and the calling that you got. Come on, 20 seconds. Type in your prayer request tonight. I'm praying for you. I'm praying for your family. I'm praying for your career. I'm praying for your ability to embrace change, to embrace what's different. I'm praying for your ability to not seek validation in your life. I'm praying for healing for you and your family. I'm praying for physical healing, mental healing, spiritual healing, emotional healing, whatever it is that you need. I'm praying for these things tonight, but I want you to embrace who you are. I need you to embrace the uniqueness of your calling so you can be everything that you've been called to be. I've said this before. The counterfeit industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. You know why? Because it's more profitable to be like somebody else than to be who you are. It's more profitable to make a fake Louis bag than to engineer a real one. It's more profitable to walk around with a fake Gucci than to go out here and buy a real Gucci. It's more profitable for you to be something that you ain't been called to be. It's more profitable for you to be comfortable being something that you're really not. I want you to embrace what you've been called to be and understand that the minute you embrace that, everything in your life is going to change. All right. Would you do that for me? Listen, I want to pray with you quickly. I want you to clasp your hands like this as a symbol of faith, as a sign of faith. I can't touch you, obviously. I want you to clasp your hands like this as a symbol of faith. I'm getting ready to pray with you right now. Would you do that? Come on, let's pray together. Father, in Jesus' name, thank you tonight for such a powerful word on our perspectives and the need to embrace being different so that we can walk in our calling, in our purpose, whatever it is that our path has been designed for us, the gifts and the talents, the abilities that have been instilled in us that connect to our purpose. Give us the strength to embrace our difference so that we don't become a clone or a counterfeit, but so that we can be everything that you called us to be, everything we desire to be and more. I pray, God, tonight that as a result of this word, that somebody would embrace their difference as a path to authenticity, that somebody would embrace their difference as a path to credibility in their lives, that somebody would embrace their difference as a path to having influence that they don't have to buy, that doesn't have to be given to them, but an influence that is natural because they are naturally walking in their difference and naturally walking into their purpose. Now, God, for every prayer request that's come across the screen, that's been typed, that has been sent to my email, I lift these prayers up to you, that God, you would answer the prayers of your people, that you would make ways as only you can. Somebody tonight has a very critical need. They're watching live. Somebody's watching the replay and has a very critical need concerning their lives and their situation. I pray that you would answer those prayers, that you would make ways, open doors, meet needs as only you can. Not next week, not next month, but God, according to our faith, that if we're able to ask and believe it, that you would even allow us to receive it right now. I pray that you would open the windows of heaven and that you would pour out blessings, miracles, breakthroughs for your people on this night like you absolutely never had before. We thank you for these things and we count them done in Jesus' name. Amen. Listen, I want you to type in the comments right now. It is so. If you pray with me, I want you to put it in the comments right now. It is so. It is so. I want you to know everything that you pray for, everything that you are seeking God for, God's going to answer those prayers. He's going to make a way for you. Every time you say amen, you are simply saying it is so. Amen simply means it is so. So I want you to type it in the comments quickly. Let me know you've touched and agreed with me and that you truly believe that God's going to answer your prayers and he's going to do it in a special and a tremendous way. I'm here to tell you, he's not only going to do it, but he's going to answer your prayers, and he's going to bless you good measure, pressed down, shaking together, and running over. He's really going to do that for you. And I just need you to believe it like it's already done. And I'm telling you, he's going to make it happen for you. Listen, really quickly, I want to challenge you to give. If tonight's been a blessing to you, if this ministry has been a blessing to you, if this broadcast has been a blessing to you, I want to challenge you to give tonight. I want to challenge you to give into what is very fertile ground. God's used our ministry in less than 7 years to feed and clothe over 20,000 people with no loans, grants, not even a large congregation. We've got less than 250 people, but we've been able to do it because of givers, people like you who support our ministry and who even supported our ministry during this COVID season. We've been doing virtual church for a year and some change, but because of your giving, we continue to be able to function the way we do it. So I want to challenge you tonight to give. If this message, if this ministry has been a blessing to you, I want to challenge you to be a blessing back to us. Would you do that for me tonight? You can give one of three ways. You can give via CashAPP at $REHABCCGIVE. That's $REHABCCGIVE. You can give on our website, www.rehabcc.org. It's www.rehabcc.org. Or you can give via cell phone by just simply texting REHABWORKS to 88202. Text REHABWORKS to 88202, and you can give through either one of those methods, and you can be a blessing. Again, CashAPP, $REHABCCGIVE. Our website, www.rehabcc.org. Or by texting REHABWORKS to 88202. And either one of those methods will allow you to be a blessing to our ministry in a very special and substantial way. And I promise you, God is going to bless you in a tremendous way. Listen, I love you guys. I've run way over. I did not mean to do this. I totally apologize. Do me a favor, make plans to meet us Sunday, 9:08 a.m. sharp right here for a powerful message on Sunday. I want you to share this video, like this video, share this video with 5 people. Tell them to go back and tune in this. They're going for a walk tomorrow, working out. Tell them to put in some headbuds, earphones, and just listen to this message. And I'm telling you, this message will be a blessing to somebody. But I want you to share it with somebody and tell them to tune in. I want you to make sure you like all of our pages, subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can get alerts when we go live. And then make plans to meet me on Sunday, 9:08 a.m. right here at the Rehab Christian Center, okay? Listen, I love you guys. I'm praying for you. I want you to have a phenomenal week. I'm praying that God really blesses you this week in a tremendous, tremendous way. And we look forward to seeing you on Sunday, all right? I love you guys. Remember, you're not weird. You're called. I want you to walk in that and understand that there is a unique blessing in understanding your purpose and walking in it, all right? Love you guys. Praying for you. Have a phenomenal week. Peace and blessings.
Thank you for watching the Rehab Christian Center live experience. If this broadcast has been a blessing to you and you would like to be a blessing to our leader, Dr. Talley III, you can sow a seed into his ministry by CashAPP at $Pastor ZT3. It is our prayer that this message of hope encourage, enlighten, and empower you to be better. Please tune in Sunday at 9:08 a.m. for our Sunday morning experience. And as always, be blessed and have a wonderful